Tonight on CTV, Fort Collins City Council addresses the U+2 ordinance.
Then the ASCSU Senate discusses a new constitution.
And a CSU event celebrates the power of women.
All that and more from the people you know, starting now on CTV.
The ASCSU presidential election season has officially begun, following the first debate yesterday on the plaza. CTV has a lot in store for you tonight surrounding student government. Good evening and welcome to CTV News. I'm Sunday Miller.
And I'm Amelia Castaneda, and here's what's happening in the news near you.
Yesterday afternoon, ASCSU candidates debated on the plaza in front of a growing crowd of students. The two Speaker of the Senate candidates, Murrell Sharif and Benjamin Amundson, were moderated by Elections Manager Tyler Seary and given 2 minutes to respond to each question. The candidates were not allowed to respond to each other, but were both asked how they would improve the culture of Senate and encourage diverse opinions to reflect campus. Following Sharif and Amundson were the 4 ASCSU presidential campaigns: Tristan Siren and running mate Kevin Sullivan, Alec Brust and running mate Marina Winchell, Jacob Epperson and running mate Carter Hill, and Liam Aubrey and running mate Lindsay Roper were asked questions about transparency and the student body and the internal culture within ASCSU. The debate wrapped up at 1:30 p.m. and voting will begin on April 2nd at 8 a.m. on RamWeb. The second debate for the presidential campaign and the Speaker of the Senate candidates is March 28th at 7 p.m. in the Laurie Student Center Theater and will be moderated by anchor Ryan Christ and broadcasted here on CTV.
A citizen proposal to change the U+2 regulations was discussed at the City Council meeting on Tuesday. The citizen proposal was in response to a rise in student loans and the average income of U.S. citizens that should be allocated to rent expenses. There is a study currently in place to receive better citizen feedback on the U+2 regulation. The City Council members recently got back from a trip to Washington, D.C., where they took courses to better inform them on federal policy. Poudre Heritage Alliance programs had thanked the council for all of their help. Also discussed was funding for a new lane on Interstate 25.
Even though we are in the midst of the ASCSU election season, the Senate continued their regularly scheduled session last night to discuss the new Constitution and the Women's Caucus.
At the first Senate session of the second half of spring semester, ASCSU debated the effects of proposed changes to their Constitution and unanimously passed 2 pieces of legislation about empowering students. Some senators, namely Kevin Sullivan and Tamara Breidenbach, were concerned about the effect of Tony Frank possibly not signing the new Constitution.
Would ASCSU still exist if we're going back and forth trying to figure out how to address these issues?
CSU General Counsel Jason Johnson assured them that that was not going to happen, and ASCSU would continue to exist.
To me, I'm not thinking, oh, ASCSU is going to disappear. It's not. We're working together. We're going to get a constitution and get it taken care of.
ASCSU President Michael Wells closed the discussion by reminding the body that this was still just a preliminary version of the Constitution, and their feedback would be used for future drafts.
So essentially the plan is to make sure that by the end of the year, we have this in a bill that can be ratified by the body to amend the Constitution in a way that we see fit for both parties.
Both pieces of legislation that passed, a bill to formally establish the Women's Caucus in ASCSU and a resolution establishing the body's support for more religious exemption policies and syllabi, were passed unanimously with minimal revisions. The main change to the Women's Caucus bill was to allow men to be members too, although it was decided that only women could chair the caucus.
In order to respect the integrity of this particular effort, I'd like to leave that.
Both pieces of legislation were either authored or co-authored by this woman, Murrell Sharif. This is Stuart Smith, CTV 11.
There will be no ASCSU Senate sessions for the next 2 weeks as their elections come to a close.
A Women in Philanthropy event took place on Wednesday in the Laurie Student Center to celebrate the power of women. The event was sponsored by Colorado State University Women in Philanthropy and University Advancement.
When I look around this room and I think about the women that I've influenced in my life, I see strength, courage, tenacity, ingenuity, inspiration.
CSU President Tony Frank was among the speakers at the Women in Philanthropy Symposium. He emphasized the university's commitment to making CSU the best place for women to learn and work.
I feel like over the years, women have overcame a lot, like women's rights and equality and, you know, being able to be on the same pedestal as a man and being able to do the same things as a man is allowed to do. And yeah, I feel like we've made a lot of progress in that area.
The mission of the Women in Philanthropy at CSU
is to celebrate and elevate women's philanthropy at Colorado State University by inspiring and engaging a diverse group of women to create positive impacts at CSU and beyond.
Women and men and everybody should just have the ability to do what they want. And I think that's important, and that's what we should strive for, that everybody gets to make their choices for themselves and no one tells anybody what they need or shouldn't do.
The half-day symposium featured panel discussions along with remarks from keynote speaker Vicki Saunders.
I do see younger people getting more active in that respect, but we still have a lot of progress to be made. Not a lot of people take this kind of thing as seriously as they should, and that's unfortunate.
To learn more about women in philanthropy at CSU, you can visit advancing.colostate.edu/womeninphilanthropy.
A man is dead after his car crashed into a semi-truck in South Fort Collins late Wednesday evening. Police say a 9-year-old passenger was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. According to authorities, the intersection of Timberline and Harmony has closed Thursday morning for 6 hours as Fort Collins police investigated the incident. Police are still working to determine the color of the lights during the accident and are asking anyone with information who have not already come forward to contact Officer Tim Brennan at 970-416-2229.
A CSU student spent 12 hours in jail after he chained himself to an oil and gas company's property in protest of fracking. Authorities arrested Colin Loeb, a junior studying journalism and environmental affairs and former collegiate columnist. Loeb and fellow activists were protesting a fracking project by the Extraction Oil and Gas Company. Loeb protested by chaining himself to the only front end loader on the site. Loeb and his group feel that this fracking site's proximity to Bella Romero Academy, a Greeley middle school, puts the children's health at risk and presents a case of environmental racism. The site originally planned to locate near Frontier Academy, another Greeley middle school, but the community pushed back. Loeb later elaborated on his motivation to protest, quote, "There's a big environmental racism problem going on with this project," Loeb said. A lot of the parents in Weld County are either undocumented or working multiple jobs to support their children, so they don't want to jeopardize their lives. It's really important for us to stick up for them because if their parents aren't in the position to fight and stick up for what they want, then that's what we're here for. According to Great Schools, a nonprofit organization that provides information about primary and secondary schools, Frontier Academy is 77% white, with only 20% of students considered low income, whereas Bella Romero is 82% Latinx and 93% of students are from low income families.
So Amelia, I was wondering, what qualities are you hoping for in a student body representative?
Definitely. I feel that a quality is someone that really reflects the diversity of the student body.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more there. That's all we have for news.
Don't go away. Kenan Kozar is up next with your weather update.